people that are not as exposed to technology,
but
that technology can be leveraged to make their lives better.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Cool. So now, the reason as well we're here, let's go there immediately, right?
Yes, but okay, yeah. You've not told us about who is raising your son.
Oh, okay.
Tell us about the father figures in your son's life. Because we're talking about Solid Jamas, and clearly you're raising a Solid Jamas. So I would like to hear about that, and then once we can go to it, and then we'll come back to this verse.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope I'm really raising a solid one.
Yeah.
It's my prayer. So
it's your desire.
It is. So I am divorced. So meaning that my ex-husband and I raised the children. So we have a cordial, good co-parenting structure. So I spend time with the kids. He spends time with the kids. So his parents play a big role. I'm really blessed to have godly grandparents for my children. And so they spend a bulk of time with the dad and grandparents, and then with me. So I believe my son's grandparent is a solid drama, a godly man.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah.
So those are the people in his life. His grandmother.
It's not every day that you find a divorced woman considering herself blessed.
Yeah.
So we do thank God for that. Thank God for that. And Lawrence, we are having this conversation about anger issues and paternity imprints and patterns. And what we've discovered is that the things that we as men and as human beings find ourselves doing are simply a fruit of a deeper root.
Yeah.
Like it's continuing. That you find a son who is struggling with substance abuse. There is a root that can be followed back home. And so this particular session we are continuing on the tangent of anger issues.
Yeah. So it came from her feedback. She thought that it would be better to to bring in person someone who can go deeper into the idea of anger. And that's why Fiona is here today. It's a tricky, sensitive subject, and I hope we're going to handle it in a better way.
Yeah.
Before we can even discuss your story, tell me, how did the last episode minister to you to such an extent that you decided to be on this show today?
Well, I think, as you said, we have a lot of angry people.
Yeah.
To an extent that sometimes you're just minding your business, and you're on the street. During the lockdown, I liked running on the road. That someone will just say something to you. They don't know you.
Yeah.
But then you realize that, where is this coming from? I have not hurt this person. But what they say reveals a lot that's in their heart. So I just realized we have a lot of bitter people. They're just walking around, and I think
people hurt others.
Yes, it's like they're looking for outlets.
Yeah.
To just let that out.
Yeah.
And so I even, when I said that I liked how you threw in a bit of scripture in there about grace and love.
Yeah.
And some people have not really experienced love.
Yeah.
Because when they say love covers a multitude of wrongs.
Of sins. Yeah.
It's like. When you give me grief, when you throw bitterness at me, and I choose to love you, like episode you say that just hug the person.
Yeah.
What will come out of them will surprise you. There's a time I got into a situation where I was with someone, and then we were going through a difficult relationship, and then I would just say, "Can I hug you?" And they would just say no, and I'm like, who responds like that with love?
Was that a man?
Yes.
Because in the episode last time we were talking about ego also.
Yes.
Because inside the ego, the guy who actually wants the hug, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, but you know, like,
but I'm macho, why are you telling me? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for me, I think it's just been a journey of learning how to extend grace and when to extend grace.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that sometimes you have to be the bigger person. If
Yeah.
someone is throwing insensitivities, throwing bitterness and anger at you,
Mm-hmm.
be the bigger person, be the mature person, and don't respond with the same amount of anger or resentment. Don't respond in equal measure.
Yeah.
Take the high road. Sometimes it's hard. When people say take that imaginary glass of water,
Yeah.
breathe. And because sometimes I've learned that sometimes when people are throwing stuff at you, it has nothing to do with you. It has a lot to do with what's going on inside of them.
Yeah.
And I like it when you say that. Sometimes it's just what they were exposed to, the homes they grew up in. What did they see their father responding to requests for accountability, or just be a better man, or just be a better person. And so if they didn't see better, they don't know better. So they're not going to give better.
Yeah.
And so when you respond to them with grace and try to understand, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Could it just be that? But some people have just been raised in proper homes, but
Still.
maybe there's stuff going on at maybe a workplace or in their current relationships. It has nothing to do with their upbringing. There are those that have been raised in great homes, Christian homes, grounded homes, but they grow up and there's something else.
go.
Yes.
Our goal is to be a resource point of growth and safe space where men who are struggling can find a hug. Man can talk to man and become as iron sharpens iron, changing the countenance of his friend. And we want men to be there for each other in this treacherous journey that is a man's life. No man should struggle in the dark alone, and we intend to work with men who we view as wounded warriors to get back to their identity, to discover their innate potential as men, as husbands, as fathers, as leaders, because we believe that if the manhood challenge is solved in our generation, half the world's problems will also be solved.
We talked about, this is something we discovered. It's not like with your children. Let's look at your son, for example. And when you look at your son, you'll be amazed that within the nature of your son, there is his father, there is you, and then there is him. The him that you're like, where does this come from? You've had those arguments that parents have. No, that is not from our side. And the man is like, no, that's not from our side. And they're curious, where does this come from? Us, we are not like that. And that's now the individuality of children.
Because inherently, it's like God created us uniquely.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes you just want to tap into that, who God created you to be. And sometimes it's like a clash of personalities. But then you need to get to a space where, yes, in my personality, I might be that firstborn that likes things done a certain way. I might be, what are these things? Melancholic, or I like things a certain way. So if things are not going my way, then how do I react to that I am not able to control?
She's a deep person, proper, deep structure.
No, so when things are not going my way, how do I then react? Do I then force everybody to bend to what I need them to be? Then what happens to they're on their journey as well? Do I cause them to stop and do things the way I want them to be done for me? Do I take a moment to think about other people and how even these actions are going to affect them? Or is it just me? So inherently we are selfish.
True.
So then you have to get to a place where you start thinking about other people. And yes, the me, it has to go.
So, Lawrence, now we're talking about fathers, sons, and we have a lady's perspective here. I want us to get into it, even as we think about your story and how anger has brought you to this place. And I want you to give us your experience dealing with or living with an angry man and being a mirror of anger. You see, I say that a woman is a reflection of the heart of her man.
Okay.
Like when you look at a woman and how she is
she happy?
You will see what is in the heart of her
Is she
man.
sad? Yeah.
You get. So
Is she glowing?
Yes, if she's ashy, if she's faded, then we know that in her husband's heart there is hardness and hardly goodness. And so let me read this that I found just interesting. It just came through right now.
Yeah.
Jacob is talking to his sons. This is Jacob in the Bible before he dies. And he's now giving his blessing to his children. This is from Genesis chapter 49. I'm reading from the New Living Translation. Then Jacob's last words to his sons. Clearly this is important. That's why it's written. Then Jacob called together all his sons and said, "Gather round me, and I will tell you what will happen to each of you in the days to come. Come and listen, you sons of Jacob. Listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my strength, the child of my vigorous youth. You are first in rank and first in power, but you are as unruly as a flood, and you will be first no longer." I'm not going to preach a sermon. "For you went into bed with my wife, and you defiled my marriage couch." Keyword about Reuben, he was as unruly as a flood. Clearly a solid German, we discussed last time, is someone who can control himself. So now this is where I wanted us to focus on. Verse 5. Simeon and Levi are two of a kind. Their weapons are instruments of violence. May I never join in their meetings. May I never be party to their plans. For in their anger they murdered men, and they crippled oxen just for sport. A curse on their anger, for it is fierce. A curse on their wrath, for it is cruel. I will scatter them among the descendants of Jacob. I will disperse them through Israel. I want you to. So for those people who do not have an idea about what happened here, is back in the days before we come to this, while they were still living in their own land, and while they're still sojourning in a place called Shechem, these people had a sister. Jacob had a daughter that people don't know. She was called Dinah.
Yeah.
Or Dinah. And now
Or Dinah.
Or Dinah. And she was very beautiful. And at one time, someone in their neighborhood saw her, admired her, and raped her. But somehow he still loved her. So when they went now to negotiate around this issue, what should be done? And these boys came up with a scheme, and they said, the only way we'll give you our sister is if you are circumcised. You and the entire town. Now, because he was a son of a chief, the whole town agreed to be circumcised, which strangely is what happened to the Wagisu also. Maybe the Wagisu were Israelites, but anyway, let's not get into that. But this is what happens. They circumcised the whole town. And then, while these people were nursing their wounds, Simeon and his brother Levi, what do? They slaughter all the men because they were angry. But their anger was such that the reason why it calls it cruel is because it was calculated. Yeah. So you see, there are different types of anger. There is the anger which is expressed, it is immediate, it is done. Yeah. I kind of appreciate that anger in certain boundaries. Like someone does something, a woman does something, man responds, maybe with words, hopefully not with a slap, or maybe with a slap, and then it ends. And then there is this.
Does it really end?
Some people it ends. Like once they've dealt with it, it's gone. I like such people. And my father is one of those people. Like, he brings it up, it is done. Yeah. Then the other people who, they will keep it. You know, like Mojo Jojo, like that cruel villain, they will keep you. And they will imagine all sorts of ways to make you pay.
They'll actually meditate.
Exactly, and figure out how to make you pay.
Hurt you.
So that is what these people did. Their anger was fierce and cruel.
Calculated.
And they went and they sat down and said, let's, you know what we shall do? Let us get them circumcised. Then when they circumcise them and they're in pain, you know what we are going to do? Then we're going to come and kill all of them. And then after that, you know what we shall do? We shall kill their cows, we'll kill their goats. This is the anger that Jacob saw.